Okay, so now that we've established or at least reviewed our three basic trigonometric ratios, SOHCAHTOA, right? Sine, cosine, and tangent. Let's introduce a new concept, which is three different trigonometric ratios that are reciprocals of these three ratios. So where you have sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay, let's write this Pythagorean triple down here. We have a reciprocal ratio for sine, which we call cosecant. Okay, so the cosecant, which is abbreviated CSC, the cosecant of theta, okay, is the reciprocal of sine. Now I'm going to write this two different ways. Okay, when you think about a reciprocal, right, you know what a reciprocal is. We take a fraction and we flip it over, right? But what is the reciprocal of 3? Well, 3 is really 3 over 1. This is a bad example. Let me get a different number out here because we already have a 3 on the page. Let's just say, what is the reciprocal of the number 6? Well, 6 is really 6 over 1. So the reciprocal of 6 over 1 is 1 over 6. So when we talk about the reciprocal of sine, we can think of the cosecant of theta as 1 over the sine of theta. Okay, and this is going to come in when we start looking at the identities. So this definition of what cosecant isn't going to come in for about another month. Okay, when we kind of shift gears a little bit. For what we're talking about in right triangles, because we associate the sine ratio with opposite over hypotenuse, the cosecant of theta is this ratio reciprocated. It's the hypotenuse over the opposite side. Okay. So in this case, the cosecant of theta, if the sine of theta is 4 over 5, then the cosecant of theta is 5 over 4. All right. We have a reciprocal for secant, or excuse me, for cosine, and that is secant. Jump the gun there a little bit. Secant, which is abbreviated SEC of theta, that's the reciprocal of cosine. We can think of it as 1 over cosine, or we can think of it as this ratio flipped over, the hypotenuse over the adjacent side. Okay, and then last but not least, we have a reciprocal for tangent. The reciprocal for tangent is cotangent, okay, which is abbreviated COT of theta, and that would be 1 over the tangent, or when we're here talking about right triangles, the adjacent side over the opposite side. So you've all heard SOHCAHTOA before, but have you ever heard of CHOSHAKOW? Right? CHOSHAKOW is all of these reciprocal ratios. The cosecant is the hypotenuse over the opposite side. The secant is the hypotenuse over the adjacent side, and the cotangent is the adjacent side over the opposite side. So these are our three reciprocal ratios for right triangles. Okay, again, two different definitions, but understand that they are all related to being the reciprocal of whatever we get from here. Okay, one way to keep these straight, okay, if you're wondering like, how am I supposed to remember? Here's the way I always think about it. You have an S, a C, and a T, right? Now, tangent and cotangent, I feel like those are pretty easy to remember as being reciprocals of one another because they both have the word tangent in them. When it comes to sine and cosecant, right, the two S ratios, sine and secant, they're not related, okay? Not in the way that we think sine and cosecant are related, okay? So the two C ratios are not related. The C and the S ratios are related. So this S relates to this C and vice versa. This C relates to this S, okay? They are reciprocals of one another. So something to help keep track of which function or which of these ratios is related to the other, all right? More to come on this.